Hello, goobers. It's me, your favorite goober. So, here's the thing. Alright, here's the thing. Just doing some research. And I'm at a crossroad. So, this is about my manga. Walk away if you don't want spoilers for this random guy's manga that doesn't even have a freaking name yet. It's true, I don't have a name for it. But it's about elements. And the a good chunk of the story is we're going to revolve around only four elements: water, fire, earth, and air. Classic elements. Classic. And my lore behind why those four elements are substantial is because they're pillars of human existence. Without the earth, we wouldn't be here, right? We've used the earth to cultivate land, food, we've built structures out of the material of the earth, we raise cattle and all that good stuff. We have crops to farm and all of that, right? Like the earth is a pillar of human existence. Water is the same. From the rain to the oceans, the rivers, the necessity of water, that you need to drink it or you die. You're 80% water, right? That's what they say, I believe. Fire. When humans learned to, how would I put it? When humans learn to harness fire, right? They changed. I mean, the day that we learned how to control fire was the day that we learned to stay warm easier, in the harsh climates. Helped us cook our food. There's a lot that fire brought, right? And of course, air. You need to breathe, do you not? The atmosphere keeps the earth the way it is. It helps. I'm too tired to explain how important the atmosphere and quote unquote air is to us. There's a lot that goes into that conversation. Same with fire. I'm kind of giving lackluster explanations for those two, but they're very important. They're pillar stones of the human existence. And at a certain point in history, during my story, the human brain cumulatively, a lot of the humans just kind of cumulatively, along with this kind of bioenergy, came together and birthed the four primordial deities. And the moon goddess, right? If you didn't know, the moon and its gravitational forces enacted upon our ocean changes things, tides, all that stuff. The moon is very important to water on our planet. And so I decided to make the moon deitess the moon goddess, right? And you have father son, as you may have heard. I forget where I heard the, Mother Nature and father son story, but that brings me to my next point. You have Mother Nature. I mean, come on, it's a classic. And then for the air deity, I just decided to make them non-binary because I thought it was cool, and I really didn't feel like you could gender, the air god. So I was like, I'm not going to. You're gonna be a cool, unique goober. So then my little non-binary god, little goober. And then later on in the story, right? Like it's fair to say that gravity is always and has always been a part of human existence. It's gravity. It's always been there. It will always be there. And humans didn't understand that back then, but as they got more advanced, they started to, right? And one of the things in our world is electricity, right? It's everywhere in a way. Harnessing it has, I mean, you've seen the technological boom that we are experiencing. Have you seen some of the latest computer technologies they're getting into? I mean, we're getting quantum computers that are insane. We are fabricating resources at a molecular level, if I'm understanding correctly. Like Microsoft's latest like super like quantum computer chip thingy is like constructed at a molecular level. Like that fine in detail. You could never have seen that coming. But quantum computers are impressive. I digress though, right? I think it's fair to say, right, that gravity is something that as humans evolved and started to understand more about their existence and the forces around them, gravity is a valid element, right? So in my story, later on, there's going to be two new gods that are birthed, right? So the god of like electricity is going to be birthed, and the god of gravity is going to be birthed. And they're going to be some young gods, and people are going to start being born with, these elements. Now, I think I need an excuse to introduce these elements into the story without a time skip. So I'm thinking that the birthing process of these new gods, and I'm making this up on the spot, has led to some people getting genetic malfunctions. Most people have an element. Very rare few don't have an element, but most people do, right? And those who don't usually um, are just like more sensitive to the elements, but they just can't control anything. I don't know if I like that. I might go with that. I'm making this all up on the spot, so bear with me here. But those who are being born or have been born, who are developing an elementless kind of life, it's going to be different than those who are a non element, but like something will just be different for sure. I want to distinctify them. And then when these new gods are born, that element will impart onto them. So it's like, oh, whoa, I can control gravity. I can fly, oh, I have power of electricity, you know. One of the things that I imagine doing for an electric user, I know, very original, is speed, where they would like control electricity to shock their body to move faster than is possible with just their base movement. So it'd be like an enhancer to help break the limits of your body. It'd probably be like dangerous, so you couldn't do it like crazy, but every good power has a drawback, so can't overuse it. But yeah, kind of have like some element. Maybe I don't want to. Maybe everybody has an element, and then some people start being born without an element, and it's like, well, what is going on? This makes no sense. Everybody has an element. What do you mean you don't? And it's during the process of these new gods being birthed that you have this new element. That's what you are, but you don't know that until the new gods are born and bestow their power upon those without the elements. I don't know what would decide, but you would have that. Anyways, that is to say, I was looking into things because I'm trying to find a sub-element for gravity because I have one for electricity. It's magnetism. I mean, come on, it just works. It's perfect. Magnetism as a subtype for electricity. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. But um, I was looking into some gravity things, and I'm sure I can come up with one at some point, or I'll make it special and it's just gravity. But I did some research, and I didn't think radiation was tied to gravity. Maybe it is. I haven't done a lot of research, but it seems like radiation is so much of its own thing that I could maybe even have a third baby element for radiation. And I'm kind of grappling with that idea. That's what I wanted to bring up today was this idea for, radiation potentially being its own element. But I don't know how I feel about that. I have to do some research on radiation, but it's a lot broader than I thought it was, which is why I don't know if I want to hone it in as a single element. And then I also too would have to try to identify how to use it as a power, which I think is like something I could totally do. I can already imagine maybe one, but it's it's gonna be something that I'm gonna have to decide on because you know gravity is like yes, okay, I can imagine the human mind thinking of gravity as its own element and conjuring a god out of it. Okay, the discovery and harnessing of electricity and what that entails is certainly interesting to think about. That would mean that technology would kind of maybe advance in my story because the most advanced technology that I'm going to have, at least right now, is steampunk, right? It's a medieval story with, there's going to be a city that's all about steampunk, and it's going to be the most technologically advanced thing, You don't really have airplanes, but, you do have blimps with, like, steam propellers. You kind of have stuff like that. And so, you know, steampunk. I'm really excited to draw steampunk and introduce it into my world. I'm really excited to have some fun, nerdy characters in this whole steampunk city. But, electricity kind of introduces a new day and age, technology, and all that. And I'm totally okay with advancing technology throughout my story to, evolve it. But I don't know. I just need to find either a really good medieval excuse for electricity, you know, maybe, some lore behind electric eels and some lore behind thunder and thunderstorms and, you know, just have that be an active part of. Is lightning electricity? I think it is. It's plasma though, no? Well, electricity is plasma, isn't it? They're kind of similar. Electricity is not plasma. Those two are mutually exclusive, I think. I don't want to speak as if I know because I don't. So do bear with me here. There's a lot of research to do and I haven't done any of it. Okay, please bear with me. Just bear with me. But you can kind of see my thought process, right? I need to find a way to introduce electricity either with a medieval explanation or a technological advancing explanation. And I think I'm okay with either or. I just need to decide what I want. Because a part of me doesn't really want to deviate into more advanced technology. I want my little steampunk goobers to be the advanced guys. But at the same time, I know for 100% fact I want to introduce electricity. how do I do that? You know, what can I bring forth to introduce it as an element? I would have to think about it. And then now with plasma being a potential thing, I have to think about that. Think about it. I got a lot to think about, but it's always exciting. It's always fun, especially when I make stuff up on the spot. That's when it's the most fun, such as right now. But, you know, I wow, that's a lot of radiation types. I'm looking at the wiki. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to read that because I'd rather go to bed. But I've got quite a lot of information to sift through. And then I'll have to make the determining factor. Is radiation going to be its own element? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. Is that trademarked? Am I going to get in trouble for saying that? Surely not. Surely not. I know I can't say let's get ready to rumble like he says it, because that's like a multi-million-dollar trademark or something. It costs a lot to have him say that. It's crazy. Fun fact if you didn't know. Yeah, I'm gonna call it here. So have a good night, y'all. In terms of video games, right, I guess one little fun update is I'm gonna try to beat Alatreon and Fatalis before Monster Hunter Wilds releases. That's gonna be quite difficult, but I'm gonna try to do it. I think realistically, if I just lock the fuck in, I can do Alatreon. I'm not too scared of that dragon. I think it's a matter of just doing it rather than not having the equipment to do it. Like, sure, I don't have all the best equipment, I don't have all the best mods, I don't have all the augments, like, whatever. You know, not the best armor set, but I think what I do have is okay enough. My biggest issue is probably sharpness, and I feel like I should probably do like some protective coating or something like that. I think it's called protective polish, but I feel like I need something like that because, or I could do the White Fang Barioth set. I don't really know what I can do, how heavy I'm relying on these gems. But I tried the Safi Jiva thing and it breaks too easily. I'd have to build into like protective polish. And I don't have a set for that. And a part of me doesn't mind grinding. Like there's nothing wrong with preparing for a difficult fight. I mean, I've already changed my Kinsect around, as you can see. It's the slow goober. So you can do the Kinsect drill, and it's got the ice element, so it does a lot of hits of that. And like, if you're doing it correctly and you're pacing the fight well, your Kinsect is probably gonna knock a Latreon on its ass from the elemental debuff alone, right? So if you play your cards right, you only need the Kinsect. And so I was thinking of maybe playing into that idea of just getting good and really taking advantage of Kinsect drill, but I also need to learn a lot of position and a lot of like I need to have high uptime on my Kinsect, and that might be difficult, but yeah, I don't know. I've been trying to have my Glaive also be Ice type, so I just really stack up and build that down, because if you're not playing really, really well, you're not going to get the elemental knockdown, and so you're not going to survive Alatreon's blunt force explosion known as Eschaton Judgment. It's a very judgmental dragon. But yeah, and then after I beat that, I have Fatalis, and a part of me is like not scared at all because it's just Fatalis, but a part of me is like, yuck, it's Fatalis. Ugh. But you know, it's Fatalis, and if I beat Fatalis, that is a big boom. That's worth 5 big booms. But yeah, I'm gonna try to do that before I get Worlds released. And I'm also like trying to pick up any shifts that my work has because I requested the weekend off so I can enjoy Wilds. And so, if they need people at work today, they didn't, but maybe tomorrow they'll be like, hey, we need people. Can you help out? And then there's also me playing with friends on like Marvel Rivals. I recently got my rank back, so I'm halfway through GM1, and assuming things go well, I could get Celestial, and that's really enticing. That's really fun and exciting to think about. But at the same time, it's like, it's if I have my personal goal of Monster Hunter Worlds and beating the last two dragons that stand in my way, then I also need to set aside time for that. I just haven't been doing that. But yeah, you know what? No, I'm gonna sit down. I don't care. This is gonna be a long video. I'm not gonna do another take. Fun, raw, Alex. Thank you for listening. If you did, sorry for the fake ending. Didn't think I was gonna yap for that long, but here I am. Good night and good luck. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your whatever day or night. Bye bye.